What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Before I begin with this video, I want to give a shout out to Ticket TV, man. He dropped a absolute gem just now, man. So much so that it motivated me to do this video because it's true. It's really true, and it also, it's similar to the message that I give on my channel when it comes to how we have to have accountability for every player. Not just some players, not just players we don't like. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy to fall into that mindset where I don't like this guy. So when he fails, it's fun. It's fun to fuck with this guy. But when a player that I like and a player that I admire is having a bad series, yeah, it can be your natural instinct to be protective of him and defend him. But after a while, you're doing him a disservice. I understand it to an extent, but when you see the same patterns with a guy, you have to break out of that and show what I call tough love. Okay? Look, Kawhi Leonard, a couple of years ago, had one of the great playoff runs I've ever seen. And I really mean that. For me, because I was one of the first ones to do it, I started comparing him to an older Jordan. He doesn't have the athleticism and the dynamics that Jordan had in his prime, but he kind of reminded me of like '98 Jordan when Jordan's athleticism was beginning to wane, and he was, he didn't have, like I said, he didn't have the as polished a game as Jordan, but there were some similarities. But what I remember about Kawhi Leonard when he was with Toronto, he was much more aggressive offensively. It was common for Kawhi to take 25 to 30 shots a night if need be. And what I liked about Kawhi was his shot selection was very intelligent. He usually shot a high percentage from the floor, usually somewhere around 48, 49, 50% from the floor. Um, and he was clutch. We remember the series winning shot that he made against Philly. But this postseason, Kawhi has been too deferential offensively. Combine that with the fact that he refuses to guard the opposition's best player, which, generally speaking, when you consider the fact that he's hanging his hat on his defensive prowess, winning, I believe, what was it, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards in his career? I think he won 2 of them. So this is a guy that was known for his defense. This is a guy that was known, despite what Nick Wright tells you and misleads you when he says, oh, well, they say Kawhi shut LeBron down, but LeBron shot 57% from the floor and averaged 28. Fuck all of that. If you watch that series, he did effectively slow down LeBron James. Yes, there were games when LeBron James was putting up great numbers. But a lot of that came earlier in the series in 2014. And when Kawhi was actually on him, when they put Kawhi on LeBron, he was effective in slowing him down. Okay, so numbers can sometimes be misleading. But we've also known Kawhi to do a good job of slowing down LeBron. Hence, remember in the past we would say, well, is LeBron scared of Kawhi? He doesn't seem like he wants to challenge LeBron Kawhi 101. But now the shoe is another foot. And a lot of people don't have that same energy in criticizing Kawhi Leonard. Now, over the past 2 years with the Clippers, Luka Doncic was killing them last year. And that series went 6 games. Remember? And they didn't have Kristaps Porzingis last year. If they had Kristaps Porzingis last year, maybe the Clippers lose to the Dallas Mavericks in the first round. We don't know. Then last year, they blew a 3-1 lead. We all remember that, but what might be starting to be forgotten is how those last 3 games of that series, they couldn't contain Jamal Murray. Once again this year, there's the same issue where one guy is fucking killing them on a team where you're supposed to have these defensive juggernauts. Patrick Beverly, Paul George, who a couple of years ago when he was in OKC was seen as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he was locking guys down back then, and Kawhi Leonard, who's supposed to be the premier defensive player, the premier two-way player in the NBA. What's happened to that? Now, is his leg bothering him more than than he's letting people on? Is his leg or his knee condition, has it deteriorated further? Is he incapable of handling the load defensively and offensively? Is that why he's sometimes passive offensively? Because to me, there's been his game is still great, but his aggression, it's not there. And I don't understand this. I don't get it. And it makes me feel foolish because I got burned to even make that Jordan comparison. Now I knew, look, I thought that he was more of a, say, somebody like personality wise. I'm trying to think of somebody. I thought he was more like a Larry Bird, where Bird's face was a poker face. Bird always had, for the most part, that same facial expression. But burning behind that was a burning passion for winning, a huge competitive streak, a guy that hated to lose behind that poker face. I thought that was what Kawhi's makeup was. But Kawhi, I don't know now. Maybe he is content with winning 2 championships. Maybe he doesn't have that burning passion to be even greater than what he already is historically. I don't know. I do know this. If the Clippers lose this game today, it's over. And I'm not going to make one goddamn video defending him. I'm not going to play devil's advocate. I ain't going to play, well, as Paul George. Yes, Paul George is a fucking choke artist. But you know what? There have been games where Scottie Pippen couldn't hit the side of a fucking barn, okay? And Jordan and some other guys, but particularly Jordan, had to step up. And that game 6 against Utah, Scottie Pippen hurt his back early, and he pretty much was just a decoy out there. Okay? Jordan had to put that team on his back. He didn't have the most efficient game of his career, but he did what he had to do to get the fucking job done. Okay? There have been many games when Kevin McHale, wasn't producing. Robert Parrish wasn't getting it done. The Chief was more of the Chief had been reduced to an engine, and Bird had to put that team on his back. Okay? The all-time greats had to do that. There were games when Jerry West had to take up the slack for Elgin Baylor. You can't always blame Paul George or somebody else or one of the role players for why Kawhi Leonard. Look, first of all, Donovan Mitchell is a great player. But let's get something straight about Donovan Mitchell. Last year, when he was averaging, 36 points a game or whatever it was in the first round, he was doing it against the Denver Nuggets, who aren't exactly known for their lockdown defense. Now he's doing this against the Clippers, who I don't know what the fuck it is, but they always let one guy just destroy them. Somebody, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, somebody, one of those two, maybe a combination of both of them. They need to slow down Donovan Mitchell. Okay? Uh him foremost. Okay? He's averaging 41 points a game. In my opinion, he needs to have a game where he scores no more than 25 and not efficient. Jordan Clarkson, try to slow him down somewhat and let somebody else beat you. Let Joe Ingles or one of these other role players dare them to have a 35-point game. If that happens, then hey, you know, it's just one of those fucking things. But I do know this, man. If the Clippers lose this series, if they don't pull out another rabbit from the hat, um, the Clippers curse continues. Kawhi will be absolutely destroyed by the mainstream media, and I'm not gonna do it. And I know a lot of people. We're gonna do a goddamn thing to try to salvage this shit because it's deserved. I'm not showing favoritism because I kind of like a player personally. Fuck that. And Kawhi is in his prime. Okay, Kawhi is in his prime, age wise. He doesn't get the excuse of he's 36, he's 37, he's 40. No, you don't get that excuse. You're supposedly in your prime, and you said that you were going to be the new king of LA. You can't even get to the conference finals. You can't even get that monkey off your back. So, I don't know, but the Clippers got to get it done. They have to get it done today. They got to get it done. Okay, um, you got to get it done. Tyronn Lue, you have to execute as a coach. You have to put out there a team that could be successful against the Utah Jazz. Because when I look at the Utah Jazz and I look at the Clippers and I look at this series so far, I'm still thinking that the Clippers are a better team than the Utah Jazz. They're a better team, but the Tyronn Lue and this team, they're failing epically. It's it's abominable the decisions that Tyronn Lue is making as a coach. Why don't you play DeMarcus Cousins more minutes? He would most likely give Rudy Gobert problems. I don't get what the fuck he's doing. The Clippers are too talented for this, man. And last year you had the excuse where these guys hadn't really got acclimated to one another. Okay, these guys have played 2 years with each other now. There's no excuses. There's no excuses for neophytes. Uh, you know, you can't make it about a chemistry no more. You got to get it fucking done, or else hell will be unleashed on this fucking team. Okay, and ain't shit gonna be able to hold that shit back. That's all I gotta say. Tell me what you guys think.